fellow African brothers to the British because of their greed. Some are going to argue that, oh, it was because they couldn't fight and all of that. But they sold our forefathers because of greed. Because they wanted little things like schnapps and the likes for their own selfish purposes. And they sold us because of greed. They were the massive connivance. They were black people that were slave dealers. It wasn't just all war. It wasn't that they came to cut them away. After the initial repression, there were a lot of people that are black people that also supported the colonialists because of greed. In fact, there are so many people that till today, as long as their interests is important, they don't care about the welfare of Nigerians, so they can sell Nigeria for nothing. And these people are in leadership positions. And that's the thing about greed. It is always a slippery slope that once you start it, you can never stop. People will not care about their country again because of greed. As long as it fulfills their own selfish and hidden desire, they'll never stop. So that's the pervasive nature of greed that we see today. As long as it fulfills their own nativist desire, they'll never stop. They'll never stop. For them, it's just about what is in their interest. Have you ever wondered why Mobutu Sese Seko Kukumgenu was a banger? With the connivance of the West, was richer than his country. For Mobutu, it was never about the interest of his people. It was about his own self. Have you ever wondered why that was the case? Have you ever wondered why? Have you ever wondered why the mindset of grief is so pervasive that our leaders all think is fair to go and have homes abroad, but they can't build their country in such a way that it will be as good as where they go to stay for holidays? Have you ever wondered why that our leaders deem it fit only to have homes in the West, but Ikorodu, inter parts of Lagos and other parts of the country lack basic amenities? Have you ever wondered why it is just so okay for them to go abroad for healthcare at the expense of the suffering people in this country? Have you ever wondered why? So others that don't have money for healthcare, they can probably die because they don't have the money, but our leaders can go anywhere for healthcare. And those same our leaders will not build this country. And when you hear how much humongous amount they stole, you are left bewildered. Have you ever wondered why? So it is a mindset of collective constant greed that makes them like that. And if we don't change the mindset of greed, nothing will change. And that's why I keep bringing these messages to you every Sunday. Because this mindset of, sorry, I have to turn off the camera and I have to do a lot because I am also leaving now. So before 9:30, I'll have to leave. I have a lot of messages lined up for you, but I'll also take some calls. So please, when I turn off the camera, do not think I'm off. I am still going to be speaking. And except we change these mindsets, we can never fully get to where God has designed for us as a nation and as a continent. Because where God has designed for us as a nation, as a continent, is where that is incumbent on a population that does not have any level of greed in them. Because God has actually given us a lot to meet our human need. But He has not also created the capacity to be able to satisfy our greed. And the moment you think you can satisfy your greed without meeting your need, then there's a problem. So the truth is, we keep making this mistake every time. We think that, oh, it's all about our own selfish desire. As long as our selfish desire is sorted, then there should be nothing. But we forget in a hurry that our selfish desires that are not properly checked are the things that are ruining that is ruining our population and our generation. So when you have a people that their leaders are greedy, and all of a sudden you don't find anything wrong in being greedy, then you cannot have a population that stands the test of time. So that's one of the biggest dilemma we speak today of Nigeria. That the leaders are very greedy, and the people equally too have become greed personified. Because the truth is, when a people do not see anything wrong in being greedy, when the people do not see anything wrong in being greedy, they are going to go ahead and think being greedy should be the order of the day. And that's the kind of society we've built. It's a ricochet effect of greed. And that's why you see that most of the monies that Nigeria ought to use to develop have been stolen by our leaders. The destiny of this country is in the hands of few people. And that's the destiny that you and me should be enjoying. But it's in the hands of few people. And greed has taken it away. It's in the hands of few people. The collective destiny of Nigeria as a country is in the hands of few families. That greed has been so wanton. You will see people sell their country for greed. You'll see people sell their lineage for greed. You see people sell their birthright for greed. And that's why Nigeria is where it is today. You see people sell anything for greed. And that's why we are bound in the shackles of this greed. See, if you take greed away from the country as we speak today, in the next 10 years, Nigeria will have accelerated more than most nations of the world. But the problem is, the people have learned greed. And you see, my fear, why I'm preaching this series is that the greed of the people now has become worse than that of the leaders. That's my greatest fear about this country. The greed of the people has become worse than the leaders. And if I do not make the people aware that they have a niggling greed that has become worse than the leadership, then we're not going to begin to solve the problem. The number one part of the solution is the awareness. A lot of you are greedy. You don't even know people like you are greedy. A lot of you are only thinking of me, myself, and my family alone. And you don't even know you are greedy. So that's the number one need. Because the truth is, a lot of you want to eat your future today and still have your future in your hands. Husbands are greedy to their wives. Wives are even greedy to their husbands. So the first step in solving the problem is awareness. The second step is about making deliberate effort. It's about making deliberate efforts. It's about seeing yourself and seeing what you can do for the generations that don't have. And this is the hardest, because a lot of people just have the mindset, it's me and my family alone. So if you don't see yourself as somebody that should be a lender unto nations and giver unto nations, then the funny thing is, you will never leave the position you are. So I ask you today, what are you doing for generations yet unborn? What are you doing? What are you doing? The resource God has given you, what are you doing to secure the next generation? People say, I don't have money. No. Doing something for the next generation does not mean money. Some of you are greedy with an I don't care attitude. You see boys that are hopeless in your community. They are taken to all sorts of vices. The mouth that you are using to gossip about them, why can't you call them and talk about Christ to them? Why? So there's a pervasive level of greed, and we think, oh, I can only do something when I have money. The people that have made the most impact didn't have money. Go and check Mother Teresa of Calcutta's bank account. I'm not sure she was a billionaire. But she used her voice to care for the people she could care for. So for you, some of you might just be your voice. I mean, see, I have announced this Mushi redemption projects. People like Ambassador Musba are skilled into it. The question is, what have you been able to do? Even if it's to do an outreach, I'm not saying me collectively. Most of the things is, I'll just announce this project to be like a tutelar directorship for a lot of people. So what have you done? This weekend, you had a free time. Have you ever called a friend and said, okay, let's even go to Mushi. Let's call someone that have a link there. Let's go and even talk to the boys and tell them they have a future. All the boys on the streets. Is it cooking? Have you even cooked? Is it even a jebule or any parts? So you don't even need to have, you might not even have money or anything. You might not even need to cook. For you, it might just be go to talk to them. Even if it's one person you talk to, at least you left an impact on the person's life. So if you do not lend your time for somebody in need of it, you are greedy. There's some of you, you can't lend your time to your children, but you are giving all your time to concubines. You're greedy towards the future of those children. I want to take calls this morning. And I'm going to continue the series for a while because there's a national pandemic of greed. Look at our social media, reeking with greed. People keep blaming the social media company and say, the problem is not social media. The problem is the hearts of a lot of Nigerians. See, most of these things we are doing today, we've always had this in our hearts. It's just that social media give you a point of amplification. Majority of what we see is greed. The reason why you want to show off is because you want the other person to know that you are better than them. And you are greedy about it. The reason why you go and blackmail and castigate other people is because you are greedy. You want what they have. So it's just a reflection of the greed you have in you. And you see, the problem is, it's liberalized media. So it's a liberalized platform. So there's an amplification of the level of greed you have. The number to call if you want to call us up is 0818-099-1991. I'm also going to be preaching this Sunday, as I leave now, the Reverend Ayodamo's church, somewhere in Okota. So you can come out there also. And like I also said, I'll be going to churches from time to time. So if I get your invitation, I'll process them. My team will process them. And we'll come to your church on Sundays like this just to also share the word with a lot of people. So it is greed that we are seeing. Hello, how are you? Wonderful Sunday.
Hello. Good morning.
God bless you. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Sweden.
Alex from Sweden. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for your good work. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Alex.
You're doing a great job. And I pray that God will continue to bless you.
Bless you so much.
The problem with Nigeria, right? Africa generally, not only Nigeria, is that we make money everything,
Yes.
Any society that is driven by money, very much like this. Somebody can there's a money that is not back to the hospital and it saves when people, because society is a capitalist thing. I'm not against capitalism, but applying it wrongly is what I'm against. Africa is capitalist because we are beginning. So let's think about money. I really know that this is not about money. That's why people are interested in solutions people serving outside, in their side, that they connect to based on solutions you're able to prefer. Not how much money you have. But our society is driven by money, religious bodies now, which rich, particularly social attention on the shares and the rest. So why won't people be going back into government? That's the problem. If we really want to about our problem, we have to compare the pride or the attention placed on money. Money is good, but everything. I've seen the places like, local government setting. You will see a road that is built, right? It is a lot of trees. There will be a small pothole in the middle of the road. That road, right? If that pothole is cut out and, the place or, immediately, it will take that road for you. But because of our society, economic grid, right? They will allow that pothole to destroy the whole road so that they will award it new again. We're trading about how you can make money by yourself, not to develop your place. I don't know. Such society cannot make headway.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother. I really appreciate it. And that's what I'm talking about. You see, because my greatest fear now is not even the greed of our leaders, it's the greed of our people. Look at it. The greed of our people have always been dominant in every election cycle. And that's why no matter how much you say, oh, we know what is best for our country, we don't always do what is best because of the greed. My greatest fear for Nigeria is not the greed of our leaders, it's the greed of our people. Because our people are what makes the leaders the next day. Most of those leaders came from our society. And the first solution is we need to keep people aware of it. Secondly, we need to start making moves to change. How do we change? We need to start having a mindset where we do something for the sake of posterity. We are not generational thinkers, and it's a big problem. It's a big assault on our consciousness. We don't think of the next generation. And that's why you see that there's a degradation as years go by. There's a degradation of talent and there's a degradation of mental, intellectual faculty. My greatest fear for Nigeria are its people. The day its people will have a sense of reasoning that will show greed, that's the day its people will start to move. Hello, how are you?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Rufai.
Bless you so much. How are you, sir? What's the way you're calling?
Yes, this is Nigerian on the line, please.
Great job.
From Abuja.
Good to have you, sir.
I'm happy to see you today. I was so happy looking at the way you are looking so fresh, kinky, and
bless you. Normally, I don't look kinky. Yeah. I'm going to speak in a church, so I'm speaking in churches. I've started speaking in churches around the country, just to get attached to more crowds and, be able to give them this message of goodwill. So go ahead, sir.
That's good. Yes, sir.
Because I have to leave before 9:30.
From this homily, because I've become addicted. I don't even like to miss your program every Sunday.
Bless you so much.
That's why every time once I'm out of there, as soon as I close for Money Mark, I would love to join your live program. Bless what you are saying, Rufai, is nothing but the this country.
Yeah.
Sometimes we always, yes, the leaders are corrupt, fine. But do you know that majority of Nigerians, they don't have good conscience?
Yes, now.
They don't have
Yes, now. Yes.
Because just imagine, Mr. Rufai, let me tell you something today. Nobody is your friend until let money join you and somebody before you know
definitely.
your friend.
Definitely. Are you telling me?
Bring Nigeria with money. Forget that maybe they are going to church, attend this church, that my daddy in the Lord. And every Nigerian, any Nigerian man, a Nigerian that you see that is trustworthy and transparent and accountable on times of financial, monetary aspect, is good to go. Because sometimes, from this lecture series that you have given this morning, a lot of parents, they don't train their children how to, in anything we do. You know what? We don't fear God. We just practice religion.
Yeah.
That is not good. If it happens that we just look at today, and when you go to church, look at the old Lagos in Abuja, in the Guarimpa, your place, they are started with members, Christians coming from the church, but ask them, do they fear God? That's just it. When they bring something to you, can you be loyal? When they give you something that go and do this project, do this for this also people, did you do it?
Yeah.
Because they don't take corruption as a sin. That's just the truth. They believe that they will now go to church and share. God bless me. When I met that day, the Lord, He prayed, He gave me, I bound to this and that, and I sow a seed and I make $1 million. What are you doing? How?
And most of these, sorry to cut you, most of these testimonies that they give in church is even to show that they are better than the other person. It's not even to acknowledge what God has done to them. It's to show. So, and most of the testimonies they show, it has now become a big fallacy sometimes giving testimony to church. Because most of the testimonies that people give is as a reflection of their greed. They want their own claim to be the most bogus. So they have this mindset of, now me, God bless us. But that's not the essence of testimony. The essence of testimony is going to encourage the faith of others. But because of the mindset of greed, a lot of people have now turned the testimony into competition. As a country.
Yes. Because do you know one thing, Mr. Rufai? The Nigerians always believe one thing. Even though you are not a believer, you are not a God carrier, but they look at what you have acquired in terms of wealth. That's why they will know, maybe they will not have that belief that maybe because you are faithful, you are
Thank you so much, my brother. Let me sneak in one more call before we go. But also, because we want the parents to also teach their children how to be selfless. We want the parents also to teach their children that patience is key. Good virtues are key. Not to be greedy. I know in Nigerian system, sometimes we try to teach our children that, is the patient dog will never eat the fattest bone and things like that. But please, we need to be able to do better. Because if we want to see better, we need to be able to do better. And if we are not doing better, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere as a country and as a people. So I beg and I implore all of you, let us shun this. Dozie is going to take it up from here. Dozie, I appreciate you're going to take it up from here because I need to go now. And I need to be in church now speaking and also preaching the word of God this great Sunday morning. Bless you guys so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you. God continue to keep you all. And God make his face shine over you. I appreciate you. I love you all. And God will bless you all.
societal status quo. 90.3. It is a great place of fun and insight. It is a great place of learning. It could be your school on radio. It could be your life on radio. We are VOP, Voice of the People. VOP 90.3. Is strong. It is the voice of the people. Entertainment unparalleled. Satisfaction guaranteed. VOP, Voice.
Are you looking for the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos, number 42, Muritala Muhammad International Airport Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in a beautifully appointed rooms featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your everyday need is met. We also offer complimentary pick-up and drop-off from the Lagos airport.
Take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant.
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, Lagos is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So, why wait? Book your stay today and experience ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream, delight in every scoop. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream at 11 Road by First Avenue, First Town, 28 Adenira Ogunsanya Street, Surulere, 13 Admiralty Way, Lekki Phase 1. Romeo's Pizza and Coldberry ice cream. Romeo, the pizza champions.
There comes a time in the affairs of man when the voice of the people stands unique, constantly challenging societal status quo. 90.3. is a great place of fun and insight. It is a great place of learning. It could be your school on radio. It could be your life on radio. We are VOP, Voice of the People.
It's good to have you join us on the Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning. Good morning, and incidentally, it's not every time we have special guests join us here in Enugu State, Nigeria. And today is one of those exceptions, and I'll be sharing with you who my guest is in a bit. My name is Ubon Kings. Welcome. Yeah, welcome back. It's still the Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning. Of course, we are available on, of course, DSTV 254 and Go TV channel 17 on socials. We are at Afia TV official. That's, like I said before the break, we have someone special, someone in the building, and he's going to be talking about himself and business, and of course the business fair in Nigeria and other issues. And without further ado, join me in welcoming Rufai Oseni right here to the studios. It's good to have you.
Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here in Enugu, the South. I mean, the last time I came to Enugu was about 20 years ago. A lot has changed, since then. I remember that we had Mr. Biggs on Opera Avenue. I'm not sure it's there any longer.
No, I'm not sure.
So a lot has changed, but I'm excited to be here, to be in the South. To be able to see things for myself and get around town myself in Enugu. 042.
So let's talk about, first and foremost, your person. I mean, there's a lot of things all over social. I know you know where I'm going to, but if you were to describe yourself in a few sentences, how would you describe yourself?
I'm a seeker. I like to seek the truth. I like to ask questions. I'm not content with knowing just a little. I want to know a little bit more, and I want to dig deeper. And that might involve me asking provocative questions.
Exactly.
Questions people will never think of. But it's, for me, it's how I can get better. I can learn more. So I'm a seeker. I like to seek.
Seeker, you like to seek. Now let's talk about your person and business. Would you see yourself as a businessman?
Oh yeah. I mean, everybody has some level of business they do. I do a lot of business charity. Last year, after my father passed, I built a library in my village, also working on a healthcare center as we speak, that's been able to help a lot of people. Also endowed a scheme for school children, where they can come and debate and they win prizes, and sometimes they pay for their tuition, and there are people who are able to pay for their tuition. We pretty much gather resource with other people to be able to come together to do this. So for me, that's number one, business of saving lives, helping lives, transforming and impacting lives. That's one business. Number two, being in the news business is another one for me. The capacity to be able to seek the truth, ask the hard-hitting questions, to be able to interrogate even more and ask questions. Make my mistakes in the process. I'm not going to say I'm perfect to you, but constantly seeking, that's another business. The third business, is the business of national development, seeing how you can in turn now use all the capacity you have to be able to build the Nigeria of your dreams. When you look back, a lot of people keep saying that Nigeria has not lived its dream, and it's true. Because when you look at most of the problems we're having today, 30 years ago, those problems were there, nothing has changed. In fact, I was doing some research. I was reading an edition of This Week in 1990, and I discovered the skyrocketing prices of visa fees and how people were, cheated over getting visa because they wanted to go abroad. This was 1990. So a couple of people now will say those were the good old days, but things are gone kaput. After the 80s, late 80s, the pervasive state of the economy after we had gone through the SFEM and other currency, systems and things like that, the downward spiral of the currency had created a lot of harm.
Right.
I said that 1992 was drumbeats of war. You remember when the Arioka coup had happened, you know, and the name Ogboru came into notoriety and things like that. And some people were saying, no, if the coup had been successful, it was going to be a civil war trying to happen and things like that. So we've constantly passed through all of this. And if you even go back to the 60s, I mean, you will see cases of corruption in our newspapers, the likes people, you know, trying to get a better life and all of that. So since its existence, you know, since the first stretch of cohesion, which was in 1906, which was the amalgamation of the Southern Protectorate, you know, Lagos Colony and Southern Protectorate, and 1914, you know, which is the Northern and Southern Protectorate, Nigeria has constantly gone through many, many debilitating things. So, I mean, the business of trying to ask the question, why are we going through all these things? Why can't the politicians do right? Look at what is happening now with the former governor, you know, the allegations there. And anyway, these are allegations, but, you know, the temerity of our political office holders to go there and not perform effectively. I mean, the business of holding them accountable. I mean, the business of changing the lot of my nation, business of nation building, business of opening the minds of the people. Because the most important thing about the world is a mind.
Right.
The colonialists, the first thing they did was they captured our mind. They gave us English to speak.
Right.
They made us think in a certain way. They made us think less about ourselves. And they used that against us. So when people can capture your mind, they can take your world away from you. So I'm in the business of challenging status quo as regards the mind. And a lot of people that don't want to change will not be happy about it. I'm not surprised people are not happy about it. But as long as I challenge the status quo and I ask those questions, so those are the many businesses I am. I'm also in the business of business for Nigeria. Asking the key business leaders, the CBN for instance, what is going on with the currency? Currently, we are defending our currency, but you know that is also costing us a lot more money.
Right.
The CBN recently came out to say that, oh, we are defending, but we're not using our reserves to defend. It's because of the loans we are paying back. But you can see the after effect. Crude oil prices are going up due to the Russian war, but we're not producing enough crude oil. 1.2 million barrels. That's where we've slumped to. You know, minus condensates. Formerly we used to do 1.6. So how are we going to get more revenue? So those are the areas of cost of doing business, ease of doing business is difficult. So I'm also in the business of challenging the status quo of all those people in the business angle. I'm asking the CBN questions and asking them also, okay, what is happening to ways and means, for instance? The finance minister recently came out to say that, oh, the president is not taking ways and means, but our extra 7 trillion was added to the 23 trillion under the former administration. So where did that money come from? So it's constantly asking them questions to say, how can we think? Because, like I said before, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, and once they take your mind, they take your life.
Now, that's some deep stuff right there. But then let's look at this. You say you made reference to quite a number of things, and most of them, some of them actually fall within the business space. Now, comparing Nigeria of yesterday and yesteryears and Nigeria now, clearly we've not seen so much change, so to speak, because of course you gave examples, clear case evidences, but where do the people come in this? Now, apart from the government itself.
The people will come in when you give them information. At first, a people cannot be greater than the quality of information they get.
Right.
The day water drawers and wood hewers know their destiny, that's the day their lives change. They start to strive to achieve more. Child that has nothing, that all he thought he could be in life wants to give to somebody else. But then you give them education and you tell them they can dream. That's the day their capacity changes. The day the people understand that the first part of changing our country is holding the leadership accountable, then things will not change. I mean, I was talking about the downward spiral of the Naira.
Right.
86. Prior to 86, it was 0.3 or 0.4 to the dollar.
Right.
But all of a sudden, after all of that flips, as at the 1990s, it was about 7 Naira to the dollar, and you can see where we are today. Over it was 1,009 something before we pushed it back now in defense back. But the people come in because they do not have the information to be able to ask the due questions from the CBN, from the political class, from the business class, and say, what are you doing about the economy? Until we, in the media, give the people the right information, that's what I try to do every day, to be able to challenge them and say, what are we doing? Take, for instance, the president said there's a presidential initiative on CNG. I went to get a CNG car. It's difficult to get CNG gas.
Right.
Why have we not done work on adoption of CNG? The president talked about palliative. We also allegations of corruption here and there. That case has stalled.
Has stalled. Yeah.
When are we going to ask questions about industries. They said, okay, we want productive economy. Man keeps complaining every day how difficult it is to do business. What are we doing as regards that? The most important thing, where the people come in, is we need to give them information. It is when we give them information, they are armed to say, we want to demand accountability from this government and say, this is how we should do it, this is how we should do that. But if they don't have information, they don't know what to ask. They don't know what to ask. The good book says, my people perish because they lack knowledge. Right. There is no knowledge. So if there's no knowledge, they don't know what to ask. They don't even know what is their rights. That's why they think because the politician does roads, he's doing them a favor. No politician doing road is doing you a favor. He's using your taxpayers' money, he's using your commonwealth to be able to do that road. So it's not time for you to celebrate him for doing that road. It's for you to say, okay, as a leader, how can you recreate? But it starts with followership. How we can have that level of accountability was when we have information. Another thing I'll say for us to give information, build more libraries, build more schools. We are having dwindling numbers of libraries. That's why I built a library. We need to be able to get people educated because a lot of people don't know. You see, social media is supposed to give access to everybody, but social media has now become a celebration of ignorance. Right. Because people are not reading. They're not using the tools of the internet to be able to read and all of that. So let's give them information. Let's educate our people. Nigeria has one of the highest level of out-of-school children. So when you ask me how does the people come in a country where you're having high levels of out-of-school children, how can they demand accountability? We need to get a country back where people know about the issues, they demand accountability, they ask the due questions. That's where the people can come in. Because the people, what the people are supposed to do is to be a pressure group of eliciting societal change by asking questions.
Now, the lovely point there, but there's this other school of thought that even though you try to ask the right questions and you seem to offend, so to speak, for lack of better expression, you seem to offend the political class, they have a way of shutting you down, going after you and all of that. How does a common man protect himself?
Sure, it has to be said. You have to keep speaking till they hear you. Nigeria has passed the era of Degree 4, where newspaper was proscribed. Media houses were proscribed. Man, it's the democracy. It's a whole lot better. As long as you have your facts right and you ask the due questions, nobody can stop you. And there's been a democratization of the media space now. Proliferation of social media and the likes. So it's incumbent on you to do your research properly, get your facts right, ask the due questions, and nobody can shut you down. Even if they try, there's going to be a mob of people that will say, no, you cannot do that. It is only a question they ask. Like today, I was asking a question about the coastal road. The coastal road, they were talking about this project and everything. I saw a letter talking about a workshop for ESIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, and I'm asking, why have we not done this before the project started in the first place? Right. Nobody can stop you from asking questions. I remember when I started asking the tough questions in Nigerian TV, they said, no, shut up. Please don't ask. But because I didn't stop, and I don't want anybody to stop, guess what? Today, everybody wants to ask the tough questions. I'll say, the reason is, I'm bold because it's my right to be able to ask and put that politician accountable. If he doesn't want to answer the tough question, he should not run for office. He should go and sit down in his kitchen. You know what they say? If you can't stand the heat,
get out of the kitchen.
Get out of the kitchen. Right. Don't even go to the kitchen. So we must have a society where there's accountability. That when we point a finger, a couple of fingers are pointing back at us. So we must also be accountable as a watcher. So as long as you get your facts right, as long as you get your data right, you have the capacity to be able to ask the tough questions. In fact, people will remember you for asking the inconvenient question from them. The era of coming to pet a politician and telling number one question is this, number two is all long gone. People should ask. And citizens out there, you have social media, you have capacity, ask questions.
Right.
The world favors a complainer.
Okay, that's
keep complaining. Yeah, the world favors a complainer.
That's right.
You can't change anything without complaining. Look at the French Revolution. Look at revolutions around the world. People had to make a complaint. Look at the Arab Spring. Mohammed Bouazizi says himself alive. People have to ask a question. Never stop asking the pertinent question. Your question is not supposed to make people happy.
Right.
It's supposed to get the facts out.
All right. We'll take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll be delving into other issues with reference to all the things we're talking about. We're talking about almost everything right here. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
4 different hacks that you could implement today to get more followers on Instagram without posting more. In fact, this creator right here just used these tips to gain over 50,000 followers in just 2 months. And this creator used them to gain over 1 million followers in less than a year. And the same thing can happen to you so long as you implement the 4 hacks I share with you in this video. And hack number 1 is you need to make sure that you're recreating and you're reposting your best performing content. If you didn't know, you could literally take a post that you did in the past that did well and post that same exact post again, except you need to change the description and you need to change the hashtags on it. And this is incredibly simple, but there are a few rules that you need to make sure that you follow. First and foremost, I would make sure that you're waiting at least a week before you repost something. You do not want to repost something the day afterwards or 3 days afterwards. You want to be waiting at least a week. In fact, you can repost something that you posted a month ago or 2 months ago or even 3 months ago, and this is going to allow you to get more followers from that one piece of content because Instagram already knows they have an audience for that piece of content, so they want to push it out. The second rule you need to make sure that you're following is you need to make sure that you're changing that description and you're changing the hashtags. If you don't do that, it's going to look like spam to Instagram, and this could actually end up hurting you. And then third, you need to make sure that there are no watermarks on that post. A watermark could be the Instagram watermark, it could be the TikTok watermark, or it could be any type of watermark, and you need to make sure that those are non-existent. And a lot of you probably don't have the raw file that you originally uploaded, so you can use this website right here in order to download your post without the watermark. And if you're trying to take one from TikTok, you can use this website right here, and again, it's going to allow you to download it without the watermark. Now, on top of literally just reposting the same exact piece of content, you can also recreate a piece of content, or you can change it slightly. For example, you could literally create a whole new piece of content by taking the piece of content you created, getting rid of the first 3 seconds, and doing a new first 3 seconds. What this is going to do is allow you to add a new hook into the piece of content. And guess what? If you have a post that you think should have done better, this is what you should do, because I can almost guarantee that the reason your post didn't do well is the first 3 seconds didn't hook somebody in. So guess what you could do? You could film 1, 2, 3, even 4 or 5 different hooks, and this is going to allow you to better hook the person into what you're trying to tell them within the video, and it's going to allow you to get more squeeze out of that one post, because now you'll be able to get way more followers with doing way less effort, because you only have to change the first 3 seconds. But that's not the only hack you could do to increase the amount of followers that you get every single time that you post. You could also be changing the type of engagement that you're getting on your post, which is going to skyrocket the amount of reach that you get. In fact, you shouldn't be trying to get likes and you shouldn't be trying to get saves on your post. Instead, you need to be going for getting comments, getting follows, and getting shares. And there's a tool that makes this really easy for you. In fact, the easiest way for you to do this is using ManyChat's comment to DM automation, because it's going to force the Instagram algorithm to show your content to more people, which as a result is going to get you more followers. In fact, if you've ever seen somebody on Instagram do a post like this where they tell you to comment below a specific keyword, this is how they're actually doing this, and it's skyrocketing both the engagement that they're getting and the followers that they're getting. In fact, this is one of the biggest hacks that you can implement on Instagram right now to get more engagement, and the average ManyChat user 5x's the amount of engagement that they're getting. Because like I shared earlier, this creator used ManyChat to gain over 50,000 followers in just 2 months, and this creator over 1 million followers in less than a year. And the best part about that is not only were they getting followers, but they were also getting more leads for their business and providing their audience with more value, because they were able to send them to a specific link like a freebie or a digital download. In fact, the average person that uses ManyChat sees a 5x increase in the amount of engagement that they're getting, and it's not just any type of engagement. They're getting smarter engagement, which forces the Instagram algorithm to show their content to more people that want to see that content, which as a result gets them more followers, because it allows you to get your content in front of the right people. And you could do the same exact thing today.
Click the link below to learn more.
Are you a STEM professional and are looking to apply for U.S. permanent residency? Then stay tuned, because today I'm going to be discussing an exciting option for certain professionals in the STEM field. I'm attorney Carlos Colombo, and today we're going to discuss an opportunity for professionals that are in science, technology, engineering, or mathematics and are looking for U.S. permanent residency or the green card via the EB-2 National Interest Waiver, an option that many professionals don't fully understand. So here we go. Let's talk about what the EB-2 NIW is, what are the requirements to apply, and how you, as a STEM professional, can take advantage of the current administration's procedures. So first of all, in order for you to qualify for an EB2 NIW, you must meet certain educational requirements. You can have a master's or a PhD, or you can have a university or college degree, 4 years or more, and 5 years or more of professional experience. That's the first part of the analysis. The second part is making sure that what you are coming to do to the United States would be in the national interest. And here is where you, as a STEM professional, can take advantage of certain announcements that the US government made in 2022 that are still being applied in 2024. So if you're in a STEM field, science, all kinds of technology, all types of engineers, and mathematics, you will receive special considerations for those interested in the EB2 National Interest Waiver. So this is an option that you should take advantage now if you are in one of these fields. Science can include all kinds of doctors, dentists, but many other scientific fields, all types of engineers, and of course technology. Below, you will find a link where you can share your CV and your professional accomplishments, and we will do a free evaluation to see if you could qualify and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Like always, it is a pleasure sharing these news with you, and we look forward to assisting you.
Yeah, welcome back to this special edition of Global Business right here on the AFIA Business Morning. And I'm still playing host to Rufai, and we're talking about everything affecting Nigeria with special reference to, of course, the business space. And we're going to be jumping back into this conversation, and hopefully we'll get some more insight with reference to the Nigerian business space then and now, and how far we've fared. And let's get back into this now. In your opinion, in your informed opinion, comparing Nigeria in yesteryears to Nigeria of the now with reference to the business space, how would you rate it? Much changed, or still about the same issues over and over again?
A lot of the psychology remains the same. Very tough environment, but I think there's been a lot of change as regards innovation.
Okay.
There's been a lot of change as regards access to capital. We're not there yet, but the psychology still remains the same. The bureaucratic bottleneck still remains the same. It's not changed. It's very difficult for you to be able to, get leases or licensing and things like that. So until we start to change the psychology, the bureaucratic bottleneck area, and then match it with innovation and the world of AI as a very transformational world it is today, then nothing's going to change. So until we start to build that capacity across board, then nothing's going to change. So how can we look inward now and say, here's a culture. You need to change the culture in the climate. You know what they say? They say culture will eat strategy for breakfast. Culture is everything. Like you invest billions, if you have the wrong culture, people will not do well. Then, secondly, you now start to go ahead and talk about mentality, and you bring in innovation, and that's how things will change. But it's an evolution.
Evolution. Now, let's look at Nigeria yesteryear. You find that we had quite a chunk of the percentage of our GDP was not petrol or petroleum products. It was more or less mostly from the agricultural sector. But fast forward to today, a chunk of our GDP is from the petroleum sector, and will technically play down on other aspects that would pretty much bring in revenue to the country. What would you think informed that change, and how can that be reversed or changed?
No, but so really, a chunk of our GDP is from non-oil sector, agricultural sector. I think agriculture takes about 25% of our GDP.
Right.
What petrol does is government revenue. Petrol makes a larger bulk of government revenue.
Right.
But most of our GDP is not dependent on petrol. The petrol sector is not a bigger part of our GDP more than the agricultural sector. Over the last 30 years, most of the government revenue have been from petrol, a sizable part. So take, for instance, about 30 years ago, over 60% of government revenue was from petrol.
Right.
Now I'm sure the number is over 30 years ago, over 60%. Now the number has really increased. I think it's close to 90% percentile thereabout. But increasingly, we're having more sectors coming in. So take, for instance, in 2015, when we had the rebasing, we had telco sector come out tops, and we have a couple of other sectors, services sector and things like that. So it's quite very diversified. But what we now need to do is we need to be able to get more revenue from other sectors apart from petrol, crude oil. So we can have more government measures. So take, for instance, there are some sectors that are easy line there. Mining, for instance. How can we use mining to be able to kickstart things? We have a lot of potential in mining across the country. Secondly, how can we use services, AI, tech, and the likes and all of that? Then most of the other sectors, crop protection, real estate, and some other sectors like that. So how can we put and harness all of these sectors together and make government revenue less dependent on
crude oil? Okay, now you just said something very critical, which I'm going to just hop on. Now, one of the arguments was the fact that Nigeria is more or less tending to more of an import nation than an export nation with reference to the manufacturing industry. And we do know that we have some manufacturers in the country who actually have been complaining over the years that the prices of the cost of doing business is high up there. The prices of raw materials, etc., is up there. Plus the fact that we don't have power. Power is another issue, and that to a large extent has affected our output, so to speak, with reference to exportation and returns and investment with reference to exportation. Now, how do we make the manufacturing sector work in Nigeria?
Government needs to come in, give a lot of subventions, tax holidays. Yes, government has done a lot of tax holidays, but a lot of people have abused it. All right. Also, we need to fix power. You cannot do all of this without power. I mean, the reason why China throws out a lot of products is because they've got cheap power. So we need to fix power. Also, we need to retool and reskill our manpower. Power, electricity, and manpower. And overall, start to now look at the welfare of the workers. Welfare will be things like health, education, and things like that for their children, so we can get more people to be attracted to the sector. Another thing is we need to be able to bring a lot of foreign investors in. President Tinubu has gone to many countries since he came in, and they've been pledges, but we want to see those production plants working so that we can bring that productivity to bear. Also, we must make our products very competitive and fight dumping. Over the years, it's not that we didn't used to produce, but dumping was a big problem. So I'll give you an instance. In the 70s and 80s, there used to be a man called Adebo Ali that had a refrigerator production company, an electronic production company, where he produced refrigerators in Nigeria. So they were Nigerian-made fridges. Debo. I remember still seeing some of them. But the truth has to be said, the market started to go kaput where they had cheaper alternatives being dumped on the market. And he couldn't compete effectively. I'm not saying entirely we should be protectionist, but we should also protect our local businesses. And that's why I tell people, fly Airpeace, support Inoson. I mean, I drive an Inoson car. Support Nigerian businesses as much as possible to be able to ensure that they leapfrog and they scale. That's how you get production in.
Now let's talk power. Now power has been a recurring decimal over the years. As a matter of fact, quite recently, the power grid collapsed for the 5th time this year. Now, where do we go with power? Because seeing that power is something that is fundamental with reference to growing businesses, whether they are large-scale businesses or SMEs and all the rest, power is important. How do we solve our power issue?
Number one, fix the grid. Also look at the possibility of the tariff to be able to attract foreign investors. Make the system more exciting by looking for local alternative sources. Solar, how can we build capacity on solar? We don't have a lot of wind as much, maybe in the north. And also look for local technologies on which you can be able to create power. Do more research as regards ensuring that areas that have comparative advantage. So take, for instance, Enugu has a lot of coal. I don't know why we can't use clean coal to power Enugu as a part in the southeast. I don't know why most of the power stations around here can be clean coal powered and loaded up on the grid. So it's about building this capacity, but most importantly, when you build all this capacity and you have the power stations and you churn out the power, it needs to go on the grid. Sometimes if the grid is moribund, it has problems, so distribution becomes a problem. So we need to fix the grid. We've tried many methods. Now it's back to Transmission Company of Nigeria, formerly, We had Manitoba Hydro, that deal never sailed through.
Yeah.
How can we fix the grid? We had the Siemens deal that we've not heard the end of it and all of that. Fix the grid first, get alternative sources of power production that you can load up to the grid. Also have a multi-grid system where, people can have independent grids here and there and all the original grids as well. And I think we could do a lot more innovative stuff in the power sector.
Okay, now, thanks for that insight there, but there are still other issues with reference to the business space in Nigeria, and one of them would have to be the place of, for lack of a better expression, bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Now, you could hear a government official make a pronouncement, a policy statement, that this is what would happen, but it takes forever for it to come to fruition. Now, would you say this is a fault on the part of the political elite in this case scenario, not going through with this as per lack of political will, or would you say that circumstances beyond his control, in quotes, could have engendered this?
That's why you need accountability. We must have a country where no government official must say something and not be able to do it. All promises must be kept. And that's why I said the people reign supreme. So we must constantly ask them, just like I've been asking. President Tinubu said there's going to be a presidential power initiative on CNG. Where are the CNG power stations? Why is it I can't get CNG for my car? Readily available. It is in some areas, but not pervasive.
Yeah, true.
How can we ensure that happens? And that's where the media comes out to constantly hold people accountable and scrutinize that.
Yeah, scrutinize them. So just before we leave, let's look at some of the things you've done. One of the key things that we know you've been able to do over the years was, like you did say earlier, the library. And we heard from the grapevine that you're starting out for about completing a clinic. Let's talk about that.
Doing some work on the healthcare space.
Right.
I'm looking at building smaller primary healthcare models where people can easily get healthcare, but using things like telemedicine.
Oh.
So recently, I partnered with a company that had an app called Rigor, where we could set up telemedicine hubs, smaller spaces, so that people in rural areas can just go on a portal or go through a camera and be able to see a doctor, and they get, diagnosed, and they get their pills and things like that. And I'm doing the first test project, pilot case in my village in Odogbolu, Ogun State, but I also intend to scale it across board.
Okay.
And take it to all the parts, of the country. My goal will be if I can have smaller healthcare centers like that, hubs like that in 774 local governments across the country, where you have telemedicine hub, I think we can reduce the death of children, mothers, and be able to ensure that, society becomes a whole of awesome for people. Also, a project at the back of my mind will be about water provision, because we have a lot of waterborne diseases in the country, and access to water is a very deep problem. So how can we get water to those communities? Many methods. Some talk about boreholes, some talk about delivery tankers and the likes, also to be able to get that. But we must get clean potable water. It's not water that people go to the stream and all of that. I mean, I saw a story that was covered on Afia many months ago,
right,
about a stream that was polluted. So people don't get access to clean potable water. So how can we get people access to clean potable drinking water and ensure that we start to change the dynamics of society and cancel out, waterborne diseases and things like that. So these are many ideas I'm working on in my head. Also boosting literacy with building libraries and things like that.
Yeah.
So these are the things I'm working on in my head. And, with my foundation, the Resurgimento Foundation, and partners across board and the City Center Hub, these are things I'm really excited about doing, because that's nation building. The government cannot do all of it by themselves. There's also a role for people that, will do little things in society. And that's where I also want to play, apart from being on television and speaking myself, but also putting my money where my mouth is and doing these things and saving communities. And the impact is long lasting in the lives of people.
Beautiful. That's a good place to leave it. I want to thank you profusely. Rufai, for coming to be part of this.
Thank you so
much. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right, and this will be the size of the package right here on the Global Business. And of course, you could do well to follow us on all our socials at Afia TV Official. My name is Ubon Kings. Coming up next would be the Eastern Business Report. Please stay.
The Forward program by Mackenzie was able to help me address that uncertainty by giving me practical professional skills, a sense of value, and confidence.
It's his first time at the Lagos Teachers Conference, so can we give him a round of applause? Can we celebrate him? Can you welcome him?
I completed my fourth
round of
program
applause as he gets
in 2021, and in less than a year, I'm seated in one of the largest telecommunications infrastructure provider in Africa. I can categorically state that would not have been possible without the following.
Hi, everybody.
Ford gave me skills, recognition, exposure that gave me confidence and made me believe in my value. My name is Kalada. My dream is to
I mean, it's been very cold in the house. We're all talking intellectual stuff. Can somebody just stand up and warm up a little bit? Come on.
Myself first, and I'm confident I can make my dream come
true. Come on, shake it once again. I need to me bawoni yo. La 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 la. I need to me bawoni yo. La 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 la.
Suppose
shake
you
your neighbor and say it is well with you
on your Android phone and don't know how to restore them. Keep watching this video and find the best way to recover your deleted videos.
Please be seated.
But first, if you use factory installed camera,
I'm supposed to have slides,
recently deleted trash
but
folder.
I want to speak
if
to you from my heart.
Videos here, then choose the video
and I want to
that
speak
you
to you because this is pertinent.
Using
and this is
Google
important.
Photos to recover deleted videos.
So I'm speaking about innovation in education.
You must sync your videos to Google
And you see, the most
Photos
important problem about education.
Open Google Photos on your mobile phone.
Is education.
Second, click on the library. Under that, you will find the trash option.
The most important problem about education.
You will find the restore
is
button
education.
Here. Press that, and your videos.
I'm sure a lot of people are saying Rufai wants to get controversial.
I think some of you didn't back up videos regularly.
Why do I say it's education?
Wonder, can I recover deleted photos
it's the
without
education
backup?
we have been giving over the years.
Absolutely yes. I'll tell you how
and what we have been told education is.
Backup. You can use the great helper for Android users
that speak to us about education
for Android
tell us what education is without knowing what education
is. It's one of the best data programs with a high success rate of recovery.
So
first,
they bring about indoctrination,
iPhone
dogma,
for Android from the official website,
and a particular code called education.
Select the recover
so ask
phone
me,
data
what is education?
Option. Second, once the phone is connected to the PC,
education
the tool will initiate
is to bring what you have in you
all the lost
outside.
Files. The process only takes a few moments.
Education comes from a Greek
it
word called
on your
edukos.
Internet connection or the size
means
of your files.
Bring internal
Once
giftings.
the scanning is finished, a list of files
outside.
will appear. Before restoring, you
what
can
do we do?
preview and then press the restore button.
We take internal
that's all for
giftings
this
of
video.
others.
I truly hope it is
over
helpful
the
to
years.
You. So, if
and
you
do
have
what?
other questions or recovery tips, feel free to share your comment below.
That's why when
Don't forget to like,
Chantelier
subscribe, and
in
share it with your
1889
friends.
propounded Los Chantelier's principles. In 2019, we still teach what? Los Chantelier's principle. That's why in 2019, we still talk about Avogadro's law. In fact, we have a song. Avogadro's law, laws are weak, equal volumes of all masses at the same temperature and pressure contains the same number of. So what do? We take it and do what? Newton's third law of motion says action and reaction are what? What do? We take it and put it on the students. We have never asked that, what is your own law? For thermodynamics, for physics, what is your own law? And that has been teaching. So I'm a student of history. I speak in universities all over the world about history, Cambridge University, African antecedents, and things like that. And when you see it, historically, education is skewed to be able to teach propaganda. And I'll give you an instance. Go way back to 3 BC. Something happened. The Spartans had the first system of education with the Greek. The Spartans, because they fought a lot of war with Athens and some other areas, what did? they taught all their male borns to be military officers. So that's why you hear things about Spartan courage. The Greek had a more egalitarian society, but they were mostly philosophically inclined. So what happened? They started teaching philosophical aspects of education. All right? That's why you have things like the sophist movements. That's why you have things like patterns of theon. That's why you have schools of thoughts of Socrates, Aristotle, Plato. Isn't it? So because that's where they were going in society, they were teaching that because that was what was ambivalent in society. That was the expression in society. When you move a little bit further and that continued pretty much for another about couple of thousands of years until the 1500s, the 12th to the 1500s, when we have what we call the Renaissance period. The Renaissance period, you had innovative thinkers coming out of places like Scotland. You had the likes of David Hume telling us that, no, it shouldn't be this way. You had the likes of other wonderful thinkers bringing out great ideas. So education changed, and it was formed about what? The Renaissance period. And that continued for quite a while. They still included philosophy, algebra, Latin. Everything was skewed towards what they were seeing. And that's why you see our early fathers that were educated in schools did Latin. I'm sure you did Latin. Or maybe it was way before your time. Latin was done in school in Nigeria, isn't it? So that was the order of the day. And that was the kind of education. And education over the years has been skewed according to what the government and the governance wants. That's why in early 1900, entrepreneurship was taken out of the curriculum in schools in America. Any country that wants to develop patterns its education according to its developmental strides. But it doesn't make it right. I'm always a challenger of norm anywhere I go in the world. It doesn't make it right. What we have is education handed down from us. Education that says we must speak English. Who says I must speak English? Ta ló sọ pé mo gbọ́dọ̀ sọ Ìgbò? Ta ló sọ pé mo gbọ́dọ̀ sọ Ìgbò láti là láyé? Who says it's English I must speak to break through? So, because I not speak big Oyibo, you they tell me say I not they civilized, Abi? But that's the kind of indoctrination they've given all of us. So I watched in the video intently when somebody was saying, and he said, you know what? I need to teach them how to speak English, like it's a curse not to be able to speak English. What if I grew up in China? I'm sure you know that long before English came into being, we had an Igbo language writing system that was there. Igbo Kwenu. We had an Igbo writing system. Long before they started writing English, Igbo were written. There was Igbo numeracy. One of the oldest languages in the world. Do you know that the Chinese language has over 1,000 characters? So why are they telling you that if you can't interact in English, you have skewed education? You know why? Because the education we've been taught over the years doesn't bring innovation, and it's dogma. It tells you to remain in a certain place. It says if you don't speak good English, oh tabon. That's what it tells you. I'm not saying don't learn their language. Learn the language of the colonialists well, but don't be a colonial mindset. You need to emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can do what? Everybody, let's stand up and sing this together. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Say that again. Thank you. Please be seated. Just one stanza. Just one stanza. Because if we don't get this right, anything we say about education is a waste of time. How do we innovate when we don't even know what education is? How do we innovate when we don't know what education is? When the only education we know has been the dogma over the years. I spoke in Cambridge 2017, and I was made to understand that the dogma for education is so much that your graduation ceremony in Cambridge is still conducted in Latin. Go to Cambridge. I was in Cambridge. Your graduation ceremony is still conducted in Latin. Those were the norms in the 13th century. But that's still what is applicable today. Because you know what? There's something that is sort of like a yoke. You know, the Bible talks in the book of Proverbs about not being conformed. You know what? I like the definition of the book of Proverbs that talked about not being conformed. That said, don't be squeezed into a mold. A lot of us have been squeezed into a mold of tradition. That's why we cannot have cooperative learning with our pupils in class. If you expose your mind, you will know that being a teacher means you are the greater of the student. Check all over the world. We have the least patents out of Africa, isn't it? Thomas Edison, in his lifetime, had the most patents any man can have. Thomas Edison has over 1,940 patents to his name. Thomas Edison didn't go to school. What did he do? He discovered what was in him. I'm sure that was what Mark Twain, who knows Mark Twain here? Huckleberry Finn. Mark Twain said something very profound. Somebody stand up and say this. Jump up and say this. Mark Twain said, I will never allow my schooling affect my education. Because a lot of people, their schooling has affected the personal education. I think you should write that down. I think you should tweet that to somebody. A lot of us, the way we are schooled has affected the personal education in our lives. So we cannot innovate. We are looking for laws, isn't it? Recently, a Nigerian invented a generator that works with water. A very good engineer friend of mine went on Facebook and blacklisted him and said it defies the laws of physics. But what Albert Einstein said is E equal to MC square. You said is what? It's taken, isn't it? It's a law, isn't it? When doctors in the 18th century were misleading people by saying if you are sick, the only way you can get well is by bloodletting. So they will stab you and take some blood off your body, let blood come out. We said it was scientifically proven. But when we do it here, it is a problem. You see, why I'm not quoting stats about innovation is that the key to innovation is your mind. If your mind is not changed, you cannot innovate. If you don't have a renewed thinking, you can't talk to your pupils better. You don't know you can learn from them. And that's why when they say Finland doesn't do assignments, it's because they don't want you to go and copy on Wikipedia. Is that not what we do on assignments and projects? I lie? If I lie, say I lie. But is that not what we do? Other people's resource, you don't know how they got it, they put it on Wikipedia, you go to copy. When they say teachers don't have lesson notes in Finland, when they say teachers will do 5 years, you know the reason why they're saying teachers must do 5 years? Because, so what you mean? Because we were trying to explain something about Finland. So the thing, I was in Finland. I was in Helsinki. The thing about Finland is this. Your first degree and your master's degree are tied together. It's a 5-year program for you to be a teacher. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you the catch. If you're a primary school teacher, you're a primary school teacher for life in Finland. Yes. You don't have a right to take another job. If you are a primary school teacher, you're a primary school teacher for life. Why? Okay. Okay. One house. I love reactions. Can I explain something to you? Because let me tell you something. That's the most important part of teaching. And the most skill needed is at that point, at that formative years. But here, that's where we put ramshackle graduates that had a third class. You can see why things are not working. You can see why we're not innovating. Because it is serious business. Look, countries that have scaled and that have developed intellectually and have done a lot of good things are countries that have invested in education. And you see, it's very easy to rejig it. There's something called PISA. I don't know if you guys send students for that. There's a PISA rating system. It's a numeracy and written system all over the world. When you look at the PISA rating scores over the years, it shows you between the ages of 0 to 15, the numeracy capacity of every teacher, of every student around the world, tested across these countries. Mostly they are OECD countries, countries of, thriving economic status quo. And what PISA does is, it looks at numeracy, and when you look at the countries on PISA ratings, America ranks number 20 what? I mean 31 now. That's the America people send your school to. American education, isn't it? American education, isn't it? American education. I think Britain ranks number 21. So that's the British boarding school education where you speak Queen's English, isn't it? It ranks number what? Let me tell you countries that rank 1 to 4. Singapore, Taiwan, Macau, Finland. Hey, I'm sure someone will say, oh, what do you know? What do these countries do? These countries open room for innovation in their system. Let's start from Finland. A lot of people think the success Finland made was overnight. Everything started in 1991. They used to be part of the big Soviet Union. Everything started for Finland in 1991. The first thing they did was to be able to churn people into the workspace. So they had what we call polytechnics. Polytechnics like universities, where they had technical competence teaching. At first, because I told you earlier on, education is based on what the country needs at that point in time. Finland wanted to compete in Europe. It was a small emerging country. So they brought about a lot of technical learning. And they had that between 93 and 94. And they did that and perfected that so well that most of the patents that came out of Europe between 98 and 2003 to 2004 was from Finland. Nokia, Finland. It's named after a river, River Nokla. But you know, the exciting thing is that other countries that are very intentional about their education system have started doing it. A little country called Estonia started doing it. Estonia is number 6 or 7 on the PISA rating. Estonia has invested tremendously in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths, because that's where they want their countries to go. And because of that, they're making so much money now. There's a little game we all play. It's called the Angry Birds. It's made by a small company in Estonia called Rufai. What Angry Birds make for the economy of Estonia, oil doesn't make it for Nigerian economy. Shall I say that again? What Angry Bird makes for the economy of Estonia, oil doesn't make it for that Nigerian economy, at least in 1 quarter or 2 quarters. You think I'm lying? There's innovation in learning. Ask Google now, Rosio. What's the worth of the company called Rosio? Google Rosio now, please. Somebody help me out. Google Rosio. I mean, it's participatory learning. We're learning, isn't it? I shouldn't be talking here every time now, isn't it? Huh? Is it not innovation in learning? Please Google Roxio, Roxio. Tell me the worth of the company called Roxio, the ones that make agri-beds. Somebody Google it now, please. Google it. That's why I said I'm sorry, I don't like to use slides. That's why I create very poor slides, because I like to interact with people. Google Roxio. Has somebody seen it? If you see it quickly, you will take my bottle of water. Have you seen it? What's the worth of Roxio as a company? 10 billion. Billion. $billion. Million dollars. $10 million. Okay, Chris. Let's calculate what are crude oil entries for a month in Nigeria. Let's calculate it. What we make in crude oil in a month in Nigeria. Let's calculate it. Let's calculate it. What we made in crude oil in a month. When you say crude oil entries into Nigeria. And that's to show you the power of education and innovation. Let's calculate it. Or put in what Angry Birds made. Yeah, because that 10 million was suspect. 2.25 billion. That's the real what. It's not 10 million. Yeah, that's Angry Bird. Yeah, it's made by Roxio. So ask, is Nigeria making 2.25 billion from crude oil? $2.25 billion. And because when you said 10 million, I said that thing was suspect. Imagine me. Don't mislead me. I know Roxio was more, Angry Bird was more than that. So Angry Bird is 2.25 billion, isn't it? Good. Angry Bird is what? Was 2.25 what? Please put your hands together for this man. 2.25 billion. What is Nigeria's budget? What is Nigeria's budget in a year? 9 trillion, right? 9 trillion, isn't it? Good. 2.25 billion times 360. It might not be up to it because Nigeria's budget is about $15 billion. But that's to show you what one company can do. 8.1 billion. 8.1 billion. That was our budget for last year. Isn't it? 8.1 billion because now it's about 9 billion. 2.25 billion times 360. No, 2.25 billion times 360. It has to go into trillions in Nigeria. 8.1 trillion in Nigerian money, right? So what one company, Angry Birds, made from education and from a developmental stride of education is what our national budget. And that's just one company out of where? Out of where? Out of Estonia. So then, what is innovation? Innovation is doing things better than you used to do them before, isn't it? That's just innovation. So, I'll give you this analogy. In 1896, sorry everybody, I'm an historian. In 1896, there was something called the Locomotive Car Act. What was the Locomotive Car Act? It said that no car can move more than 4 miles per hour. The fastest speed a car can move was what? 4 miles per hour. That's about 6 or 7 kilometers per hour. In 1905, it was reviewed, and a car could move 24 kilometers per hour. Recently, A man called Ettore Bugatti made a car called a Bugatti Chiron. Can somebody see the top speed of a Bugatti Chiron for me? Please, Google it up. A Bugatti Chiron. Chiron. The top speed of a Bugatti Chiron. How many kilometers per hour? 420 kilometers per hour. And there's a place called the Autobahn in Germany. Can you see? 261 miles per hour. That's about 400 kilometers, because miles is about times 2. So from 4 miles per hour to 261, what? That's innovation, isn't it? So how can we get Nigeria's education system now from 4 miles per hour to what? To 261 miles per hour. Any suggestions? Let's talk about it. It's education. At first, we've decongested our mind, isn't it? So let's talk. So how can we, the task for us, when I talk about innovation, because you see, Albert Einstein said, if you can explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it. So I'm sure everybody understands in the house where we are going, what the task is. Because one other thing education teaches us is to use big verbose language to be able to dissuade people from the original vision. That's why tons of people have to cram what they studied in school. They didn't really know it. Isn't it? So how can we get Nigeria's educational system? Because, and this is the real analogy, Nigeria's educational system is what British educational system used to be like in the 1910s and 1920s. As we speak today. Pretty much the same curriculum. You can add the 50s and 60s, pretty much the same curriculum. So how can we get us from 4 miles per hour to 261 miles per hour? The first thing is technology. Technology. I predict here that in the next 5 years, the most international borderless language will be coding. So if you cannot code, you will be the illiterate of the 21st century. You see, somebody once said the illiterate of the 21st century is those that can't read, learn, and unlearn, isn't it? Good. But the illiterate of the 21st century is if you cannot code and express your thoughts in binary and code language. That's why I started an education hub called EduPay a couple of years back, and we keep deploying coding teachings for schools. So the first part to innovation is understanding technological appreciation. You know, because what has happened? The world has leapfrogged. You know, there were ages. There was an industrial age, there was an atomic age. So Nigeria didn't pass through the industrial age. That's why when you see from 1979 to about 1980, we had the first industrial plan, isn't it? To industrialize Nigeria. And that's why around that time, that's when they built Ajaokuta and the likes that never worked, isn't it? So Nigeria didn't really go through the industrial age. And you cannot go back to the industrial age now because a lot of people have moved past the industrial age. That's why people are shipping things to China. That's why you see Trump's agenda is de-progressive, because he wants America to be the manufacturing hub. The world has moved past that. It's no longer the 60s when you were in Youngstown, Ohio, that you had a thriving oil industry. It's no longer that way. So, but we can't go through the industrial age. Then we need to leapfrog and use technology, use artificial intelligence, and most importantly, use one thing called IoT. Google what IoT is. No, I'm sorry. Is my assignment too much? Because I don't believe you retain things faster when people tell you. But when you see it yourself, you know it. Google IoT. Internet of Things. Good. The fourth industrial revolution. A certain man called Mr. Schwab from the World Bank started this thing called the World Bank in the 70s. So he will take all these rich billionaires and they will go talk in a place called Davos. And they started, pretty much talking about what the world will be. Him, another group called the Bidenberg Group, they talk about how the world will be. And all of them have come to say that this is what will change the world. IoT, Internet of Things, and the fourth industrial revolution. So if you don't have appreciation of that, you cannot innovate. And that's why it looks as though you are struggling. If in 2019 we're still doing what is MS-DOS, what is DBase4, what is, when you go to Nigerian universities, they still teach a programming language called Fortran. And I'll tell you a little bit about Fortran. Fortran was the programming language that Catherine Jennings used to write mathematical code for a man to go to space in 1961. We're still teaching Fortran. Google, if you think I'm lying, please Google it up. Fortran. When was Fortran first written? Please Google it up. Can they put it on the screen? When was Fortran first written? Between 1961 to 65 or 67. I'm going to be accurate with the date, but... Sorry, am I boring you with this engagement? If you're bored, just tell me, I will go, please. Can somebody put it up there? When was Fortran? 50? So I was even wrong, it was 57. 19 what? 50 what? Say it again. 57. In 2019, who studies computer science here? What year did you finish school, man? Eh? 2009. Did you do Fortran? You did it? You did Fortran. Please come come on the stage. Come on the stage. Come on the stage. Come on the stage. Please, a big round of applause. A big round of applause. Please tell them you did Fortran.
I did Fortran, basic and assembly language.
So what year is that?
I graduated 2009.
Okay, yeah. And what was the year Fortran was released there? Good. So if we do not have the technology of today, we cannot innovate for the future. I think it was Winston Churchill that said very profoundly that the empires of the future are the empires of the mind. So if we do not have a national education policy that does that, I went to Mr. Shitu's office. I was trying to push a deal with the federal government. I went to Mr. Shitu's office when he was Minister of Communications. What I saw, I will not tell you. I can't tell you. And that's why I was really excited when Dr. Isa Patami was made, Minister of Communication. He gets it. I'd done some work with him at NIDDA. Great guy, great mind. All right? And where the countries all over the world are talking about things like cloud residency, Nigeria still think it's a joke. So we cannot innovate if we don't have what? If we don't have what? Technology. It's not possible. Another very most important part of innovation of education today is what I call social skills. I think it was Harvard that did a review. The top 10 skills that make people successful in life. Cramming was not number one. It was social, spatial, street skills that were top. You see, that's the reason why first-class graduates hardly get jobs in Nigeria. And they think it's the village people. It's not. It's because we have not taught the social skills. And the way to innovate education, we need to start inculcating social skills in our children from where? When they are small. Why do people send their kids to Cambridge? Why? I've spoken at Cambridge. I'm pushing to speak in Eton. Who knows Eton College here? Eton College is said to be the best. It's not in terms of education, but the most egalitarian secondary school in the world. It is said that if you go to Eton College, you have a high chance of becoming British Prime Minister. So go check all British Prime Minister. David Cameron went to Eton College and he went to Oxford. It's so funny that most British Prime Ministers, they go to Eton College, they go to Oxford, and they study one course, PPE, politics, philosophy, and what? And economics. Go check, research. Please. You can Google David Cameron now. Why do they send their children to Eton and Oxford? Why? Not because they want them to go do anything extra, but because they want them to socialize with the creme de la creme of society for social viability. That's one thing we don't teach here. An average Nigerian doesn't know how to socialize. Network for prosperity. It's a very important skill. My very good friend Bosun Tijani of CC Hall was telling me we met up in Tech Point. I mean, if you had seen me at Tech Point, I mean, I do a lot of things with Tech Point. And we were talking and said he's going to school to study how relationship and social special relationships are built. Because when my very dear friend Teach for Nigeria was talking about engaging with government, the crux of the matter is social skills. How to speak their language, to understand them, and to be able to now put your ideas through to them. Because if you don't understand them, nothing will be done. But you know, the problem with all of us is we live in something I term the Lagos bubble. We say in Ikoyi, VI, a child goes to Corona, good life, isn't it? You can afford driver, work in a multinational, earn about 12, 15 million naira every year, good life. Go to summer twice a year. But we forget that there's a child in Zungeru. Matter of fact, Ojukwu was born in Zungeru. Zungeru used to be even better than Lagos. So let's not talk down Zungeru. But it sounds funny though, you can laugh. We forget that there's a child in Zungeru that is looking for equal opportunity. So when we go to these our schools to have these innovation programs, apart from teaching them English, let us teach them social skills. Because really, when they come out there, when they start to lobby and bid for contracts, it's these social skills. I'm not saying teach them how to give sole or egunje or bribes but it's these social skills of networking, of holding somebody. Can somebody come on stage with me? Please, sir, you come. Please come on stage, thanks. Of even learning how to shake. How are you, sir? Maintain strong eye contact. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Things like that are going to open more doors for you, more than the English you speak. You know, because how you can use humor. There's a French comedian, Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo. You know Victor Hugo? Many French books, isn't it? Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo said something profound. He said, humor is the shortest distance between two people. That's why you see comedians are the greatest networker. Once you can make somebody laugh a little bit, they'll light up. So those social skills are imperative. Also, when you teach them, what will be innovation is making them know their country. A lot of Nigerians don't know their country. That's why we're having the crisis we have. We don't know our country. We don't travel. We don't travel. Even a lot of Nigerians don't even know Africa. You want to know the world. How many of you have been to Botswana? Gaborone? You have been to London? Oh, UK holiday summer. You go and buy the same old shoe that they put in Selfridges since 1921 and you say UK Harrods. And you sing, London is the town for me. London is not for you. It's for Mama Charlie. Know your environment. Know your environment. Know your country. I met Strife Masiyiwa once. We're having a mentorship session with Strife Masiyiwa. Strife Masiyiwa was telling us how Thomas Nkono used to be a liberator and a freedom fighter in Zimbabwe. Was telling them how when they were young, he would say, he would say, Strife, travel. You people don't travel around Africa. Because the true education is to know the environment. The problem is also we know so much about Donald Trump, we don't know the government of Dankwali local government area. How can we make change? The problem is we know how a business ecosystem works so much in India, but we've not been able to crack the business ecosystem of Ajegunle. and we want the youth, the children to thrive. It affected me. When we set up loyal bonus, we used the Indian model. We failed. We lost money. Oh, we saw the big population. We forget that the population didn't have disposable income. We forget that 98% of Nigerians don't have up to 500,000 naira in their bank accounts. If you have. So we forget that a lot. I forgot that. What I was saying was, oh, there are 5 million people in Nigeria. If 1,000 people every day buy stuff from my website in Nigeria, we forget why Jumia is struggling. Education innovation means people should know their environment. We don't teach a lot of that. When we go for excursion, what do? We take them to Silver Bed Cinema. They go and watch American movie. We don't take them to the slums to be able to understand the perspective of other children in the slums and what their society is all about. Most importantly, to have innovation in education. Teachers, this is for you now. As the song says, Yami Baba Wobimida. As a teacher, you must constantly Turaebi. Because I know if I say the word rebirth, it can't resonate like Turaebi. You must constantly be open to training. You must constantly be open to renewal of your mind. You must see that pupil you teach as a partner. So when that small boy, Kasali said, don't tell him Benwe son. See him as a partner and encourage him. Because teaching is a symbiotic process. It's like the proverbial Yoruba word, so that's what teaching is all about. It has to be beneficial for both. Innovation will be having a look at our curriculum, having a national conversation. At this day and age, is it 6334 we need? Should we still have Nigerians stay 4 years in university with a high unemployment rate, or have a crash course 2 years in university and they can go into the labor market? Are there many things they are teaching us in our curriculum now that is useless? Are you angry? Are you angry? Say, I am angry. So wait a minute, please. You're angry, isn't it? But wait, just wait. Can you hear me out? Sister, I can see you. Can you hear me out? Good. A woman called Ivana Trump changed my life forever. She was Donald Trump's first wife. She helped Donald Trump build his business empire, and he divorced her. And she said something. She said, don't get angry, get everything. Thank you, sir. She said, don't get angry, get everything. So when I hear that word, when I feel very unfairly cheated, I look for how to get everything. Because you see, anger doesn't predispose rationality. So you see, we might get angry all you want, but once you drink cold Gary and sugar, it's all finished. The anger is not put to use. Cold Gary and sugar, From that, the anger will turn to, Nigeria will change. Big round of applause for you. So the best you can do now is write a petition. We've got over 2,000 people here, right? If everybody here can write a petition to their lawmaker on the fact that education curriculum needs to change, we can get a critical mass. So that's how to change things. Me, I've learned not to get angry. So a lot of people say, Rufai, you don't talk, you don't do. I say, me, I know what I'm doing. So I mobilize. I have single-handedly sponsored 3 bills. One has gotten passed in Lagos. I know how to write bill. I'll just call my legal friend. Let's write this bill. So what we'll do here is, we talked about this. Let's get rapporteurs around and write what we call the education curriculum bill and start to push it. That, for me, that's impact though. Can get angry, I'm angry. You see, Martin Luther King talked about the fierce urgency of now. I talk about the salience of anger. Put it to use. It is the same salience of anger Rwanda used. I was in Kigali speaking a couple of years back. I was speaking to a high government minister in Kigali. And I was asking them, how did they get 94% health insurance coverage? And he told me, he said, funny enough, we're speaking at I was staying at the Hotel de Mille de Collines. That's Hotel Rwanda, where Roussel Sabagina had his ordeal in 2017. And he said, we said to ourselves that no Rwandese will ever die of a preventable disease. That was the anger. And they worked towards it. Part of my anger and my friend's anger was what led to something I call 1 million teachers. You can go on it, go on website, a part of 1 million teachers, 1millionteachers.com. My friend Hakim Subar in Canada, we partner with the Queen's University in Canada, set up a teacher learning hub. It's free. I think it's about $6 or $5. You can go there, download teacher curriculum and learn. You can get the website down, 1 million teachers. It will benefit you a lot. And it was part of the hangar we started moving. Recently, we signed a contract for 10 years to teach 40,000 teachers in Rwanda. Let me tell you something. Agbe proposal was in Nigeria. They were looking at us. So what did we do? We took it to Rwanda. We have deployed. We've signed the agreement. You see, we met the Minister of Education in Rwanda. That's the only country I see that you can meet a minister in 2 days. No long fertility. And we've kicked off. But it's also a platform open for you as a teacher. Can somebody go to the website? Can we go to the website, please? 1 million teachers. It's part of innovation. What are we doing there? Can somebody go to the website on the slide? It's a teaching portal. You go out there, you register, you complete the course module, and you start to learn. That's it. That's it. That was part of our anger. Because we're angry, and me and Hakim were in the hotel room one day and we're talking, and a couple of other guys. It's okay, we're angry about this teacher thing. Nobody's looking out for teacher. Okay, let's set up something. That's the website. You can see. You can put it down a little bit. Put it down. Reward-based system, transforming teachers, the incentives. We even have incentives for the teachers. Recently, we took this to Kanu. The only person that looked at us in the north is the Emir of Kanu. We signed him up recently as the chairman of our advisory board. So what the Emir of Kanu is on, you can see it has some validity. You can see Hakim over there and other people in the team. You can check it out. If it's what is going to work for you, it can be part of your innovation journey, isn't it? At least you can see what my anger has done. Isn't it? At least let your anger lead you to go to the website and try to take action. Because of this angry. Oh, no, you're being for nothing. So anger means taking action. Do something. Be innovative. Be innovative. Do something. Also, your anger means engagements. Engagement with the parents. Engagement with the people. I'll wrap up with this quote. It shaped my life. I think it was Napoleon Bonaparte. I tried to say it in French. My French is terrible, but I translate it in English. It says, "La carrière c'est tu veux c'est calon." What it means is, without distinction of birth or fortune, we should get to a place where there should be no distinction of birth or fortune in the educational advancement of Nigeria. The child of a pauper should be able to get the distinction and the education the child of a rich man should get. It is only when we do that that justice will be pushed back to the educational system. If it's possible, somebody give me a big yes. Thank you. Thank you for your time.